I find this to be such an eloquent title, My Curse is My Redemption. And a bit of an irony, right? You think of curses as bad things, but now it's good. I haven't previewed the message in terms of lyrical substance yet. You'll be getting a fresh perspective on that regard as well, in connection to the song too, from me, who, as somebody who's very early on in his days, with XANDRIA, right, I might not be at the point of reverence that, in emotion, yes, but in duration of time, I know many of you, I'm sure, are coming at this angle from being long-time XANDRIA fans, even, back into their history as well. They took a bit of a brief hiatus, and now they've come back with this. Again, I can't relate to that in terms of experience because I haven't heard their back catalog yet, but I've only humored 5 of the works in total. This is the 6th from The Wonder Still Awaiting. Of course, I'll humor the entire album. This is going to be the end of selection of tracks I've picked temporarily, though as far as I'm concerned with the future, doors always open to XANDRIA, like many other European metal talents. In fact, all of them, really. Because they've just impressed me so much. Many of you know how much I love that music scene, especially in particular to just trying to find advantageous listens for a music connoisseur like myself of such devout practice. For me, as I said many times, music is my favorite of the art forms, and I've wanted to bring it on the channel for some time in terms of a grand presence where we can introduce ourselves, if permitted, right, to new talents that maybe you hadn't humored before, or maybe you have. Like I said, many of you I know are XANDRIA fans. You've recommended the name to me in the past, and I've been very thankful for that, because I had no clue going on entrance how good this group would be. I mean, I had a tease, I have to give credit to this being my entrance point with the Mortinia collab. I'm part of their XANDRIA's front lady Amber, and it was a wonderful introduction there in terms of her vocal talents. But upon hearing Reborn, that was the first track I picked from this album, I had no clue just how floored I would be. And 5 tracks later, I'm having a wonderful time. Especially in the grounds of, not just the European regard, but symphonic metal, high priority in terms of the music I venture to. And I'm sure I have many groups based on your recommendations I haven't humored yet, and I'll get to them eventually. We'll see when. XANDRIA is just the latest, and I did fast-track them, because I was just so floored in respect to that first collaborative work with Amber's credit. And again, based on your recommendations, XANDRIA was a pretty popular name, but I've had on the list for a little while now. I've seen come in, I think, a couple of comments that I'm like, I gotta humor them. Let's rush it. And I'm glad I did. This is an easy replay for me. I can't wait to enjoy them further in terms of re-listening to all these pieces just one after the other. And I'm sure if My Curse is My Redemption follows in the pattern of the last 5 pieces, this one will be no different. And we're going to humor that together for the first time. As I said, pretty successfully at this point, or successively, on many of my music-related coverage productions here. I love the fellowship aspect of music that it can be produced. Not always, but perhaps. Especially on the grounds of first interactions. I love being able, if this is permitted, to perhaps compel you to venture down new paths of entertainment where you've been trying to find some groups that will instill an interest in you and a long-time connection, but you haven't necessarily known where to look. I can say, broadly speaking, if you've never entertained the European landscape before, that's a place to start. And with XANDRIA, maybe that'll be your first destination point. And perhaps we're going to share in that journey, right? On entertainment of this new work together for the first time. Though some of you, I'm sure, because it's been out for a little while, I'm getting to XANDRIA maybe a bit later, again, post the album release, you're already familiarized to how good the tune is. So in that case, you're getting the perspective of someone who's a new fan and a first-time listener, and I'm sure it'll be fulfilling in that respect too. But I love the fellowship experience that we can have with music, even though, again, I take a bit of an unorthodox path and that I can't, sharing the experience physically of any of you. We're not in the same room or anything. Well, technically we are, but, not in flesh and blood. I'm talking to a screen, I know. But we have a great experience of sorts together. And certainly I've heard that in terms of expression in the comment sections to various artists I've consulted, especially along the European lines, that you've been just as happy as I've been with many of these talents I've consulted, and there's too many to mention at this point. XANDRIA is just the latest. I'm having a wonderful time. I hope you will too. If you're into symphonic metal, I think they're going to easily click, especially symphonic metal with such adventurism and individuality. You're in for a good tune already, I can imagine. So, My Curse is My Redemption. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the song in conjunction to the lyrical video that followed along. I'm grateful for a little provision here that I don't mind doing this, by the way. These videos are very much passion projects, and I'd like to produce complete works as far as I'm concerned. And I do like to accommodate listener taste to every extent that I can. So if you're someone that, like me, wants to read along with the message of the pieces you perceive through a work, maybe in connection to a video as well, I like to provide the lyrics for you. And normally I have to do that manually. But XANDRIA, to ensure I get part of one video a faster upload experience and editing process, has provided that for me. It's not as much the uploading, it's the editing that takes a while. I don't mind doing it again to offer complete works, but I'm very happy for when olive branches are awarded in terms of time. And I'm sure you are too, because you're getting this video sooner in that respect. But let's entertain My Curse Is My Redemption together. I can't wait to hear it. It's 5 tracks in. It's wonderful. And again, this is the end of a selection I've picked temporarily. I have the entire album on my phone in terms of a pre-purchase, as I buy all the music in advance of what I cover to support the artist. Or artist in this case. So I haven't heard... I'll be hearing the remaining 7 on my own. But the first 6 have been wonderful. Great first tease to what I'm sure will be a great full album unveiling. At least in my experience. I know, again, the album's already come out. There's our intrusive mixturing that I just find so welcoming. Again, every trait to their music just has such a depth to it, and the way it clicks together truly impresses me. I love how Amber's accent is becoming quite prominent in this song. I mean, it's been Never Works too, but it's really stressed here, part of the softness of the lyrical pacing. Effective pacing. Great visual writing too. And hopeful vision to the lyrics as well, amid a tragic, like I said, tragic foundation. That string presence, oh man. I really like her tone on vocals here. It's starting to mimic some of her artists I've heard where it almost sounds like I'm hearing an interchange, like it's a collaborative work on part. It just shows how varied Amber is. She can really achieve so much with her voice. Definitely a powerful presence in the symphonic metal scene for sure. This section on the chorus just really stresses strength. Story of my life. So it connects, you know. And the music definitely has a wonderful cathartic edge to it. What a wonderful reflective piece on part of the lyrics. I wonder if that's sort of the message, that it's a catharsis piece for the band and the lyrical visionary. I'm assuming that's... let's see. I was trying to find a lyrical credit. Maybe the band generally, or Amber. It's a deeply impassioned song. Key change, I was kind of expecting it. Great inflection in the string work there. Lovely ways. Great wrap up too. That's perfect. Solid. I can't wait to go re-listen to that one again. I love the dimension to it. The operatic structure on that one, in comparison to the other 6 I've entertained, or other 5 I've entertained with you off the album for the first time, I think is my favorite there. And the other ones were good, but it's prominent in focus on this song. Let me look up really fast. Maybe I should have pulled this up in advance. I just want to sample if there is... Let me try my curve. If there's a declared intention. So this is from, what website was this? Arrow. I'll reference this, of course, in post so you can see it too. Arrow. Oh, come on. Why is this not? If I tell you to expand the window, expand. Arrow Lords of Metal. Alright, so that's the website, and their quote here, if I pull this out, I'll just read it verbatim. As many of you XANDRIA fans have named this song as one of your favorites from the new album, it's strong, I'll say that. We decided to make a video for it with beautiful pictures underlining the meaning of the lyrics. That you performed that beautifully. Music art as something that can derive from painful experiences. 100%, that's what I've been saying for a long time on this channel. It's such a strong agent of catharsis, especially in the rock and metal territory. And then not only heal you, but also others. It is a wonderful gift for us all then. Truly is. You know, as I've said, you read the lyrics, and that's sort of the vibe, again, that I was getting a part of the way it was written. And I don't know who envisioned the lyrics and part of the lyrical writing. It could have been the band generally had some input. Maybe that was more so Amber, because it felt deeply personalized. Where did she say? I think it was in the... Yeah, on the post-chorus. And I think the bridge. I turn my pain into bliss. I'm like, amen, sister. I totally agree. You know, it's like my life story in a nutshell. I mean, I won't necessarily review that point extension, but if you want maybe some XANDRIA application to that, go consider my thoughts, if you haven't already, to You Will Never Be Our God. That song applied itself in a very interesting way. It's sort of similar to this, I guess, in respect. Well, I didn't necessarily say... Well, I know I did acknowledge it in terms of music. 100% I resonate with the message of what the band was driving at, especially in the video. And then she says, let me go back on in terms of the following the pre-chorus, the bridge. In the end, I return with something in my hands so beautiful. I will rise again above the blackened skies to forgotten lands. It's such a dramatic presentation, but isn't that just exquisite? As again, it's a narrative I totally agree with because it makes sense, right? And you sense that I'm passionate with the artist. I mean, it's always fun to watch. And it wasn't the band generally here. In other videos, it's been that. And I didn't always, you know, growing up used to be the, you know, top. It wasn't a priority for me to go and watch like all these live performance videos. You know, I grew up actually in going to concerts, you know, with my family, and since that's kind of waned off. But as a kid, you know, and I've said many times, from every respect of the angle I approach my content with, I come from a Christian background. So when I think of my earlier music experiences and what introduced me again to music as such a beloved art form in my life in those foundational years, my family would be visiting. Or sometimes we'd be driving quite a bit in terms of the state. We would go to concerts endlessly in terms of like top name Christian artists. And I've been to a couple secular ones as well, you know, in the years since, much less, because it's not that I don't want to go to concerts, it's that I am in a bit of a, you know, I think a lot of people are these days. You could probably agree that, you know, financially speaking, the world is in a very interesting place, especially in terms of our personal lives, that maybe we don't have as much money to go chuck out to concert experiences as much as we would love to be. Like, I would, you know, many of the groups I've spotlighted on this channel have been touring. I'm like, why can I not make it to your show yet? One day I will be there. And maybe for XANDRIA, I mean, if I'm ever in Europe, or if they ever came to America. Maybe they have in the past and I'm not aware of it. Again, I'm a recent presence in their fan base. I'm honored to be in that, by the way. I'm very happy to stand alongside the likes of you. Of course, outrank me in your years, but in appreciation, we're probably on the same level, right? Especially, maybe not necessarily appreciation, because I haven't heard all their works yet, but in emotional reverence, heck yeah. Anywho, This piece is exquisitely written. I mean, and music-wise, too, great riff structures. And like I said, with the background symphonic choir orchestrations, probably my favorite I've heard, especially on pacing and mixing, especially in the chorus sections towards the latter half, worked really well. Perfect overlapping in terms of the multitude of dimensions that these artists achieve within the symphonic metal territory. And they really are a prominent presence in that regard. I think of the other groups by comparison, and they're all great. I'm not trying to put comparisons here, especially in the European regard, but XANDRIA is a top-tier name in my opinion. I truly do believe that. I'm only 6 tracks into understanding their works, but I'm floored with this group. I love them. I can't get enough of re-listening to their pieces. This is, at least in this case, I've only re-listened to Reborn. I've only heard the other pieces once, but with all of you for the first time, I love that. I love that experience, and I wouldn't trade it in for the world, quite frankly. It's the way to enjoy music with others. It's a way you appreciate such a deep and reverent art form, and that's what Zarna. Okay, I'm mixing up XANDRIA with Zana now. Hey, Zana's a pretty good artist too. I mean, she's an emerging Christian metal. Well, emerging. She's been around for a couple years, but I think still in name familiarity and presence, and she deserves to be elevated. I know a bit of it. She's not symphonic metal. She's more mainstream rock. She's deserving to go places within the Christian metal scene. She's a really good artist. You've not humored her, but forgive me if now I'm mixing up names because XANDRIA, Zana? They sound so similar. Why is Zarna a name I've heard of? Oh, that's a different person I'm thinking of. Never mind, that has nothing to do with music. Okay, we'll just say it's Zana and XANDRIA, and now I'm mixing them up, and you can easily understand why, at least on sound. I know, probably some of you are like, oh, blasphemy, it's an accident, I swear. I love XANDRIA. Wonderful first engagement for me. I mean, I've had a great time with all of you experiencing the beautiful works of, 100% the wonders still awaiting. That's been the case of like every track proceeding, as I said, with the title track of that based on that name. I'm like, you embody the sentiment of approaching every work of yours on this album. They really are like the wonders still awaiting. It's such a perfect name. I mean, you probably can't reuse that for the future. You could maybe do like a Wonder Still Awaiting Part 2, and it gets even better. I don't know. Or expanded. But I'm having such a great time, and as far as I'm concerned, in the future this is the end of a selection of what I've picked currently, but doors always open to the future of XANDRIA on this channel. I can't wait to humor them again. I'm going to listen to the remainder of the album. As I said, I've got the entire thing on my phone right now. My Curse is My Redemption. Especially on reflection of that name and pairing with the articulation of the lyrics of the song and what the band was intending to say in terms of music. And yeah, I mean, it's a definitely powerful agent in the world. I've said it as much, but man, that title just blends perfectly. So my curse in the sense of like, earthly or worldly pain and tribulation in life inspires creative work. Don't you just love music? It's so beautiful. We have so many practical extensions, I guess, of healing and just general enjoyment in the world, and music, I can't get enough of it, especially in the European landscape. Once you start down that rabbit trail, you don't want to leave. What are your thoughts on the collection of tracks we've looked at thus far of XANDRIA's work, and consideration perhaps of your perspective, right? Long-time fan, first listener, I'd love to hear the dynamic of angle, or the angle you approach down below, as well as your thoughts on this particular piece. I think it deeply touches me. It echoes a sentiment that I've expressed many times in regards to why I've pushed into music so much, especially in regards to metal. I've said many times, my particular music tastes in my personal life have isolated me a bit. No one, I think, understood. Now, people, I dealt with all the sideways glances for years. I think back, a long time ago. People never understood why I got into metal. If this song is not a curse at all. If this song is any indication, it's a definition to why it's a supportive definition as to why I love music so much, especially in the metal territory. There's a deep power of catharsis in these songs, especially when they're beautifully envisioned on part of a complementary writing style and music ballad. You produce such exquisite works, and 6 tracks into my experiences with XANDRIA thus far, and of course that'll expand greatly with time, for sure. they are a perfect testament as to why I believe there's a real accuracy in that definition of music, that it is such a powerful transformation of perhaps tribulation in the world reflected on and turned into, it mimics, as I said before, in the angle approach I take with my content, the Christian foundation, and because of my respective faith, there's that Bible verse about, God utilizing, like, whatever is intended for harm in the world, I'm paraphrasing it, but God uses for good. In the same way, it's not necessarily to that level, right, not to appear sacrilegious, but it's funny how it kind of, music in that way, in the path of reflection, mimics that, right? The tribulations we endure in life can inspire great artistic works. And if it applies, I would say, broader respect than just music, in other artistic landscapes as well. But for me, music is the best embodiment of that principle. You so often see artists come along that say, there's this particular thing in my life that matters to me, whatever it might be, personal experiences, something the world is dealing with. There's just this feeling on the heart that just sits, and they have to express it in this beautiful way. And it takes that pain and turns it into such a transformational, healing, restorative, or joyous journey, right? Certainly on experience. XANDRIA perfectly embodies that attribution, I think, in the song quite exquisitely, and as far as I'm concerned, in all their work. I truly do feel honored to spotlight such an exquisite talent, as I do generally of European artists, but XANDRIA has a top regard in my mind. Loved entertaining their works with you all. I love that fellowship experience, and perhaps, again, if you got a first introduction, that's what I hope for. If I can, provide paths for you to access great talents. I'm inspired in some ways by my pain of isolation and not having agreeable music taste to my general vicinity of peers. Certainly, yes, for sure. We have a connection that I don't have in my normal life, but I turn that pain into art. To borrow a popular book title from a longtime favorite artist of mine, Icon for Hire, that's such a good title of their work, and that's also a good embodiment of the principle of my curse is my redemption, isn't it? I love what music does. As an art form, it is really, in my opinion, one of the most powerful expressions. And I feel that XANDRIA, as I said, perfectly embodies that principle in such exquisite ways. And it's such a joy to humor their works and to spotlight such a noteworthy talent that deserves every fan they have. And I'm honored to be in that position myself, and I hope, if I can, to send other prospective fans their way. They deserve it. And I hope you had a great time entertaining their works as I did. For sure in the future, as I said, open door. More to come. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.